Hey guys, so this is going to be a very weird episode of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast because we're doing our first Discord recording here. I've got Jim, Bryce, and Charlie here. And this is a weird intro only because I have to mute myself for a few minutes to do something. So I'm going to let them continue the conversation they were having. It's going to be a weird cold opening, but they were talking about Picard. So go for it, guys.
So,
dang, Jim, that was a crazy story. That was insane. Oh man,
yeah,
too bad
nobody heard it. Yeah, too bad nobody heard it.
It was then it chimed in and said, "You guys, hold, I gotta start with this," and then the rest is history. But okay, so you lost your virginity, and then you kept watching Picard, and then what happened?
Okay, Charlie, how far have you watched? Because I've watched up to episode through 7.
I just need the actual second part of the finale.
Okay, so wait, is 9 the finale? Oh, so the second half is coming up this week.
Yes.
Okay, so
tomorrow.
I need to watch episode 8 and 9. And wow, Bryce, have you been watching it?
You know, love Star Trek, but never been that into Star Trek. I gotta say, I whenever it's on, I'll go see it. And you know, I saw 2 of the 3 new. Was there 3 or was there only 2? Well, I watched at least
3.
one of the new-ish movies, and I really liked it. But I can't say that I saw more than 1 or 2 of them, and I don't go out of my way to watch them on TV. So I don't know where that puts me. I've not been watching Picard. I've heard that it's out, and I like Patrick Stewart, and I like Star Trek, but unfortunately, I believe that makes me a fake Star Trek fan.
Yes, that makes you a fake Star Trek fan, Bryce. I concur with your assessment.
Not that I ever claimed to be a Star Trek fan. What's the prognosis, gentlemen? Is it a worthy series? What's even going on here? Is this just them Netflixing it up and throwing some money at Patrick Stewart and being like, you know, we can get a lot of viewers if you come back?
Oh, I mean, obviously there's the desire to get people to the CBS streaming service, and doing a continuation of Next Gen in any form will do that. But I like a lot of the interviews and stuff Patrick Stewart has talked about, because he talked about that he was hesitant to come back until he did Logan, and he felt like Logan was a fitting send-off for Professor X, and he didn't feel like Picard had a fitting send-off. And that's the reason he came back to do the show, but he didn't want to just sort of pick up where Next Gen was. He wanted it to feel like that world evolved the same way this world has evolved since Next Gen was on the air.
So this show, other than copyright infringement, this show could have been called Old Man Picard.
Yes, it absolutely could have been called Old Man Picard.
or Older Man Picard, yeah. But yeah, yeah. Because Nemesis, I mean, okay, First Contact, I mean, let's even go back one more. Generations, it was okay. First Contact, I liked it. Insurgents was the second one. Was the third one, Charlie? I think Insurgents.
Yeah,
that was.
Are these next generation movies?
Yeah, and then the last one was Nemesis. It wasn't that good.
So
at
Generations, I liked just for passing the torch. There was a lot of stuff wrong with Generations, except for it was all about passing the torch.
Mm-hmm.
First Contract felt like a big budget.
First Contract, movie. Really? The First Contract? What was it when he signed up for his job?
Like that movie.
Or did you say First Contact?
First Contact.
Pretty sure you said Contract.
Felt like a big budget Star Trek movie to me. Like it felt like the story was big enough that one worked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Insurrection, unfortunately, just felt like
Insurrection. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Insurrection. Yeah.
Just felt like it was another longer episode. Like it felt like it was a 2-parter of the show that it wasn't even worthy of being a 2-parter.
Take that, Insurrection.
Yeah. Like it wasn't bad. It's just there were so many better episodes or 2-parters within the show that it just felt very flat for theatrical release. And then Nemesis, at least for me, I like the core story of Nemesis, but I feel like it suffered from a lot of the stuff that even I'll tie it back to X-Men for you, Bryce. X-Men Last Stand suffered from of they had a story they wanted to tell, and then actors started saying, I want a bigger role, and I want a bigger role, and they had to start figuring out, okay, what is Riker's and Troy's story in this? What's Picard's story in this? What's like, and it made the movie very disjointed to get the cast back together.
Is that what happened with Last Stand?
Well, I know there were a lot of demands with Last Stand, with like Halle Berry wanting a larger role, and they ended up
she got
doing
that new wig, and that didn't help the movie.
and they ended up doing some rewrites to sort of juggle some of the cast, either from the ones not returning, like Cyclops, or characters wanting a larger role to agree to come back.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Wow. I guess Star Trek, there's a lot of Star Trek comics, so it's not like this is taboo subject matter.
So just before, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Bryce, just before they started Picard, they had a Star Trek Picard, I don't know if it was called Picard, but they had a Star Trek comic book, and John, Patrick Stewart did photo covers and stuff for the comic books and stuff like that. So
who's that with?
IDW, I think. I think it was IDW. Yeah.
Charlie would know. Charlie knows. Charlie, tell us.
IDW is the last company I was aware of with the license. I can't swear that it hasn't moved since then, but as far as I know, it's still with IDW.
Are you, Charlie? Good Lord.
I'm no use.
I got the photo.
I'm just here to record a podcast, Bryce.
I got the photo covers. Even the wife wanted the photo covers, so she doesn't buy comics at all. But I got her all 4 issues photo covers for her because she likes the card. So
okay,
I've read only a handful of Star Trek comics of the year. Like they had the prequel to the Kelvin universe movies. I'm trying to remember what that was called, like Countdown or something like that.
Okay,
and that was good. And then I've read some of the crossover stuff, like Star Trek Planet of the Apes and Star Trek Legion and Star Trek Doctor Who. But I've never read like an ongoing Star Trek comic. It's always been miniseries or crossover.
Okay, the last Star Trek books I read was when Generation came out as a comic book way back in the 90s, maybe even the late 80s. And that was what the last Star Trek comic books I read.
Yeah, I think that I might. The ones that I'm thinking of are the same ones back in early 90s when comics were more affordable, or maybe it was just mommy daddy's money at that point in time. I was a young buck. I certainly wasn't mowing enough lawns to get all those dirty Star Trek books.
All right, nerds. You done talking about Star Trek now?
Oh, thank God. Oh.
We're killing Bryce.
Yeah, I'm dying over here. I like Star Trek, but who needs Star Trek?
Well, as we're all learning the wonderful Discord to continue our social distancing recording, this thing actually records pretty well here. If people are recording on Discord, there's some good options here. The Craig Chat robot is really nice. So, Charlie, you're muted if you don't know that. I just want to.
Yeah, I know.
There he is. Well, gentlemen,
here we are.
We're going to keep this episode a little on the shorter side, which is actually why I was okay with you guys talking for a bit there, because
good luck with that.
Well, you can talk as long as you want, Bryce. I'm actually a little bit under the weather.
Oh yeah, by the way, can we set one thing straight?
Yeah, of course.
I did not forget my wife's birthday. It was a conglomeration of me being a good friend to Mr. Higgins and knowing he was so ill that I wanted to give him 24 hours to recuperate. And by the way, when I committed to the podcast, which I always love to do, but it just happened to be agreed that I would join up prior to me realizing, oh shit, that's Kelly's birthday.
Yeah.
So it's different than me forgetting so much as I didn't realize that they were going to land on the same day. I work from home. All days are the same to me.
Well, Bryce, coronavirus birthdays don't count, so you got plenty of time to make it up to her.
Exactly. I didn't get her any presents. I didn't take her anywhere. I didn't even say happy birthday to her all day. And I just said, hey, babe, I got to stay 6 feet away from you. And I got to make sure the kids are all 6 feet apart from each other. And there's something about today. I'm not even sure what's going on. So, yeah, I was very good about social distancing from my wife during coronavirus.
Nice.
That may or may not be true. That's true.
Well, of course, everything was fine, and then I woke up Monday, and I'm like, oh boy, I'm not feeling 100%. So I made
that corona. You got that corona.
I sure hope not. I called the doctor and I said, look, this is my symptoms. This is what's going on. I do work retail. It's tough to tell, in the last 14 days because we've been closed for the previous week. But for the week prior, I could easily ran into people that had traveled internationally. Toby was overseas for a little bit, and that was while a lot of this stuff before it really happened, right? But who knows?
He was fine though. He was was
Toby's
he
fine.
Wuhan district. Where was he?
He's in Germany and England, but these are questions. If anyone does get sick, these are the questions they're going to ask you. Where have you been? Who have you been in contact with? And it's really hard to think about that, and kind of remember. But based on my symptoms, they're like, no, we're pretty sure you just have that standard old flu. It's going to kick your ass for a few days, but keep an eye on difficulty breathing, high fever. Those are the key things that people are looking out for. So Brock has been above and beyond. He went in and did the entire shipment by himself, and then our entire pickup day today when we had our limited pickup window. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes here. So I gotta, Brock will be back on probably next week if we record as normal. So I really have to give it up to Brock. He saved my ass because we've been trying to stay apart. But Marshall also a little under the weather, so it's hitting 2 out of the 3 main staff members at the same time. So fingers crossed. It's nothing worse, obviously. But I'm here. I'm recording a podcast. I'm not that bad, but obviously I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So
glad you feel better, homie.
Yeah.
That's no fun. It's probably a little scary when you get like a common cold.
Right.
I think that we're all experiencing it. Like when I sneeze, I'll be like, oh God, do I have the coronavirus? I turned
to Leanne and I was like, well,
nope.
I turned to Leanne and I was like, oh God, my fever's up a little bit. My temperature's up a little bit. It's like 99. And I'm like, I'm usually run a little on the cold side. But then like a lot of my other symptoms kind of went away. So I'm like, I'm bouncing back and forth between symptoms. I'm not like...
You are a little bipolar.
Well, I'm not like bedridden and unable to move. Like I've been getting up, walking around, doing stuff. I shit you not. I have worked so much more in the past 10 days with the store closed than I have ever worked when the store was open. It is unbelievable.
Isn't the lion's share of that setting the Comic Hub so that you have less subsequently?
Everything is through email. Everything is online. I'm not, customers just walk in before and do their thing and walk out. I'm having to handhold every single customer. That's not a complaint. It's just we're all shifting to this. So instead of like my 2 or 3 random emails, and most people just ask me questions at the store, I'm getting 30, 40 emails an hour from customers trying to set up orders. We've gone from shipping a couple dozen a week to possibly 100+ shipments in this next week.
Wow.
So
holy moly!
Suddenly it's like way different. And now we're about to hit that big wall. Before we talk about, I'm not going to talk. There's no news to talk about except for the only news to talk about. But before we get to that, the reason I have you 3 on here is because last week we had Kevin, Toby, and Brock, and I wanted to check in with everyone, see how they're doing. So let the listeners know. Bryce, Charlie, and Jim, you guys, how are you guys doing? Everyone healthy? Everyone safe? Everyone good? How's work? How's family? Let's give people the info. I want to hear what's going on.
You guys go first. I got a story.
I would love to share my and talk over Charlie. Sorry, Charlie.
Go
Charlie.
for it.
What is sorry?
Come on,
Charlie?
Bryce. I'm used to it. Just get to the point. No.
Where did Sorry Charlie come from? That must have been way before Full Metal Jacket. When I'll Google it later. Sorry Charlie. When was that? That must be like a 30s thing. Anyway, yeah. So my story is going to go first because it's rather uneventful, which is unlike most of stories in my life, including regular things like going to the grocery store. But I work from home, and so now I have to. How do you phrase it? Oh, work from home. Not much has changed in that vein. The kids are home because the schools are all shut down. So it's sort of like the summer when the kids are at home and I still have to work from home. So it's a nightmare. But in regular summers, we send them to camp or we send them to this extended care program after school. But the extended care program after school is unsurprisingly locked down now. So now they're just home all day long. And I would love to say that we're great homeschoolers, but my wife may be a good homeschooler, but I am certainly not a great homeschooler. And so I'm just thinking that they're just going to learn a lot from Netflix shows. So if that's true, then they are going to be fucking incredibly brilliant. And if it's not true, then I might be in trouble later. But yeah, it's tough. But I've already been working from home, and I'm very fortunate to have a job that is not as much impacted. Certainly impacted, of course, but on the spectrum of jobs being impacted, with some friends in the events business, they are slightly more impacted than I am. So yeah, it's really tough, and it's really tough to hear my friends and family suffering through all this. But I'm sure you guys have heard those stories a million times before. But yeah, no, it's tough, but things are lucky enough. My wife actually works for the Portland Trail Blazers, and so they obviously suspended their season. So yeah, that's no fun. But yeah, here we are. I can't complain too much. Charlie, why don't you go ahead? But I believe Jim has a story when you're done. But that's it for me.
Yeah, for me, it's just kind of one of those weird things where I got an email from work on a Sunday telling me not to bother to show up to the office on Monday. And so I worked from home for a week where it was sort of mostly quiet because I was pretty much here by myself. My kids were in school. And then the following week, they shut down the schools. So then all my kids came home and they didn't have anything to do. So it was a madhouse, super noisy all the time, super crazy, kind of figured out a place in the house where I could just focus and do work. And then the following week, they started up the distance learning. And then all of a sudden my house went quiet again. I'm like, what's going on? So, I mean, work's definitely kind of been feeling some of the impact, but it's mainly just from odd things. Like there's certain events that were upcoming that they're trying to move to a virtual space. There's a lot of other unintended or unexpected sort of things that have required a lot of meetings, a lot of running around, etc., as everybody's sort of adapting to the new state of things.
Absolutely, yeah. No fun for anybody. And it's interesting also the sort of ripple effect, like a stone skipping across a serene lake. I'd like to poetically say. Just the idea that like some things shut down immediately, right? Excuse me. But then other things like the comic industry that we'll get to, and like the movie and TV industry that we alluded to in our pre-chat, those things are going to be impacted, months from now. I mean, even if we get going by Easter, it's going to be months from then. It's going to suffer because all the other stuff was recorded just before everybody shut down is going to be able to be in post-production, from people working from home, but you can't film net new stuff. So it's going to be months from now that some other stuff is affected, even when other people are, going back to work and want to come home and watch their new episode of New Mutants.
Yeah. No, the thing that amazes me the most about all this is just looking at the timeline. It was like a month ago we were talking about it like, oh, there's no way Emerald City would close. And then like a few days after that, Emerald City closed. Then the following week I was working from home. Then the following week the school shut down. Then
I don't even think it was following weeks. I totally agree. It was snowballed so fast.
Yes. Yep. The curve on this was amazing.
Yep. I talked on the last episode that
for new listeners,
I couldn't believe that a week ago we were still going to Disneyland. We were supposed to leave for Disneyland in like a day and a half. And I'm like, oh boy. Oh, look how everything has changed so suddenly. Yeah. Jesus. And they're like, yeah, we'll open in April. No, you're not, Disneyland. You're going to open in like maybe January.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liverpool was supposed to win the title, and then like I don't know how many of you guys follow Premier League soccer.
Bryce, do you watch Last Week Tonight?
Oh, dude!
Yes.
Every week. His little rant. He was here in Portland for our at our supporters bar. We have a supporters club bar. And so I wasn't there the day that he was there, but I was there the day before he was there. And so I was like, oh, bummer. But they took some pictures with him and posted them
That's awesome.
On our Facebook group. Yeah. So he's a big Liverpool supporter. But yeah, so for those of you that don't know, no team in history has ever had a 25-point lead at the top of the table in March. And so, they were going to be able to have the season title wrapped up in March, which has never been done before in the history of Premier League soccer. They had such a huge lead. They only need 2 more wins, 6 points, whether they won 2 or Manchester City dropped, 1 or 2 and they won 1, whatever. But they only needed 6 points. You get 3 points for a win for all the folks that don't know. 1 point for a tie, 3 points for a win, 0 points for a loss. And they were 25 points clear in March with, I believe, 9 games to go. And so quickly they went from, oh yeah, the soccer might get suspended to like, oh yeah, we're suspending this one game. Okay, yep, the whole season's off. It was within a week they went like, okay, we're literally gonna mathematically win the league 7 days from now after we've played 2 more games, and then the next game was canceled, and then the whole season was postponed. So, and by the way, also the reason this is like more than a big deal than just me being a Liverpool fan is that Liverpool have been waiting 30 years to win the title, and they have it so wrapped up, and then coronavirus for the first time in history puts the Premier League on hold. It's just absolutely wild. And so, to Ryan's point, Higgins' point, there was a great little mini rant dialogue by John Oliver in his last episode of Last Week Tonight, where he just goes off about how Liverpool should just be given the title, and
he won't let it go either. He keeps talking about it as well.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great. I don't have small kids. My kids are grown up. My daughter is a flight attendant, and that's what worries me. She flies up and down the East Coast, as far as the Midwest, as far as north as Canada and Toronto, up in Canada, and as far south as Florida. So she's still flying. She's still essential. And when she came home with the flu, and then she got sick, and then turned around, she got better, and then my son got sick, and he works at Rolls-Royce, but he's essential too. They haven't shut down manufacturing yet here in Virginia.
Oh, man.
So he just they're all, everybody's worried. There's no corona testing here. It's just flu and like strep.
Yeah, I was told that they, like, if things get bad, they can test me, but like just potentially having the flu is not enough. And they're like, we wish we could. We want to test every single person, but we just don't have we're running out of material. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Well, I sent both my kids over to urgent care to a clinic just to get tested for flu, and they drove up. The urgent care is in front of GameStop, and there's a tent out in front and a woman in a hazmat suit, and there's a couple guards standing there with AR-14s.
Wow.
And they're like, we're not going in there. We're going home. They turned around and came home. And I called urgent care. I said, my kids want to come over and get tested, but what's the deal with the guys with the guns? She goes, oh, that's just to make sure nobody gets stupid. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So they're just here to keep the peace. There's nothing going on right now.
Well, they've sent out they've sent out the National Guard in select areas to deal with food and emergency medical situations. We're going to see more of this in the next couple of weeks, not less. But they've recovered. They're feeling okay. They're good.
Oh yeah. And I usually work from home anyway, like Bryce. So nothing's changed for me. I'm still doing the job. I just have more time than usual. So, like I was telling Charlie and Bryce earlier, I've been working on little custom statue projects that have piled up over the last couple of years, and got a couple of those going on. Got a couple of repairs going on. Got some painting going on.
Nice.
The wife bought me a printer, which is not a printer that prints 11 by 17 prints. So as much as I'm a sucker for art prints, I have gone through a couple of reams of paper already, and I don't know how many cartridges. So
gotta get one of the art printers that Leanne has.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yep.
Well, that's good
we're doing okay out here.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. They're doing good, and yeah, I mean, my my hope is, everything when I was reading up on flu, they're like, that day like 3, 4, 5 can kind of be the worst, and then it's sort of on recovery. So I'm looking at another day or two, but hopefully by this weekend, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Obviously, if I'm running to Friday, Saturday, and I'm getting worse, it's like, all right, guys, well, I got to go back to the doctor and see what they say because I don't want to risk it. Even if you have coronavirus and you, most people survive, but it's tough, and I don't want to, if I have it, that changes everything. And I don't want to think that I do. It's a flu. I've had the cold before. Like, this is flu season. Everyone gets sick.
You're sick every year this time.
Well, you know what I mean? And I've said this. The last couple of years has been a lot better. I had that big nasal surgery.
You're sick a lot. You're sick a lot.
I used to be. This is the first time
I've like 2019.
No, a couple of years back. I after I had that surgery, I got a lot better. I mean, everyone gets colds, but I haven't had a real cold in a couple of years now. It was terrible for a while. I used to get really sick all the time. I used to get a sinus infection just if a raindrop hit my head. Like,
I was going to say that a lot of that had to do with your sinuses too. Before you had that procedure done. So
I was totally fine till a couple days ago. So, well, the big news, obviously, in comic books is there are no more comic books.
Yeah.
What?
Diamond Comics is now shut down. They have one of their warehouses operating, but it's only for limited reorders. The printers are mostly shut down. It's unclear if Marvel's printer is shut down, but DC's is, and most of the independent companies' printers are shut down. They're all in Canada. So Diamond sent out a letter on Monday that said this week's Wednesday new books that today, as of recording, is the final week. We are on, everything is on hold and hiatus. We will. They have what would be next week's books, but they're not sending them out because at this point, well over 50% of the stores in America are closed because of the coronavirus. California and New York represent like 20% of the stores in the country alone.
Interesting.
So maybe more. So the industry is on hold. Nothing like this has ever happened. We don't know what's going to happen with digital. There's a belief that Comixology may put some books up next week. We don't know. Marvel, DC, and Diamond have been just silent. I'm still putting in like my initial order. I can't imagine they'll hold people to those numbers, but they have not said don't put it in. Our weekly FOC final order cutoff, they still had us put in on Monday as they're telling us it's closed. I just, we don't know. It's so weird.
Well, just like I told my son, we've never, I'm not going to say this country. As a world, we've never gone through a pandemic like this for decades.
Yeah.
And
no, absolutely.
And everybody was completely unprepared for this level. And even though the deaths are 5%, there's 471,000 cases right now. There's 21,000 deaths, and that's 7,500 of them are in Italy alone. But we've never had to prepare for something like this. So everybody is just doing the best they can. Everybody has to take a breath and understand. Everybody's just trying to do the best they can right now because we don't know when it's going to get lifted. We don't know if it's going to get worse. We don't know if there's a vaccine, 2 weeks around the corner. Nobody knows. I mean,
or really. 18 months,
Yeah, exactly.
I called my mortgage company today and went, and I never even talked to a person. They were like, "Are you calling to put your mortgage on forbearance?" Yes. Is this is your account? Yes. Okay, done. Your mortgage is on forbearance. You don't owe us anything till July. We'll reassess in July. You'll get paperwork from us someday. The end. And it hung up on me.
Wait, like what? That's incredible.
Because this everyone, right? I don't have income.
No, no, I'm with you. I just didn't know. So my thinking was not to make this like a real estate podcast rather than a comic book one, but I thought that they would be, because the dudes that own all the real estate are the ones that are not hurting. Well, I'm not going to say that. Let me walk that back.
Yeah, not hurting yet.
But no. But my point was more like it's the people whose jobs are like day-to-day activities that get put on hold because of the coronavirus. You can still charge people rent, but that's very cool that they're not necessarily doing that.
I mean,
not that this is for everybody, and not that
the vast majority of America will not be paying rent on the 1st. They are going to have to enact some sort of rent forgiveness or temporary rent suspension countrywide, because so many people that pay rent are not working right now. This is no possibility. So you can, like, many states have even stopped evictions. So, okay. Well, yeah, you can't evict people, whether it's retail or individuals in a house or an apartment. Again, it's not every state, but a lot of states have. And so the next step is just a national cancellation of all debt and payments for everything for the next few months. Because if you can pay, cool, but most people won't be able to. Right. The vast majority of America lives paycheck to paycheck. That's just true.
Totally.
All my comic customers, a lot of them are still working. They work at Apple. They're still getting paychecks, but not all of them. All right.
Well, also, like, just because I guess most people live paycheck to paycheck, even if you don't, doesn't mean that this is a nice thing to have weighing you down.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, for some people, they're still able to do their job. They're still getting paid. But, certain sectors are going to be hit so bad. Who's buying a house right now? No one, right? Even if you got kicked out or evicted or the bank took your house.
Well, if you're able to, you should buy a house for now.
Well, but like, who would even be doing that, right? Like,
right, I'm with you.
Who's moving, right? Okay, well, you're going to shut down. Stores legally have to, I have to legally be closed. It makes more sense for the landlord to give me a few months of rent that I don't have to pay because I can't be open. Then when things go back, I continue to be there for as long as I possibly can. It makes no sense to kick people out. It makes no sense to charge them when they can't afford it.
Yeah, man,
but
crazy.
But comics. So we just don't know when this is going to come back. I mean, they said a few weeks. If the printers are closed for 3 weeks, it's about 2 weeks after that, 2 to 3 weeks after that we would get the books. So if they're closed for 3 weeks and they come back on, 6 weeks later, we would get that shipment. They have one sitting in the Diamond warehouse. So that's 5 weeks of no new comics. That would be like my best guess.
So listen up, Marvel and DC. If you ever wanted to do a reboot, now's the time. Because everybody's going to forget what the hell was going on after this stuff is going on.
Well, I had I had a piece on Newsarama. I don't know if you guys saw that. The suggestion I had put out over the week was that Marvel and DC and Image and all the companies should allow stores to sell digital codes and then ship us an equivalent amount of print copies when they go back to press of those items that we can then give for free to those customers. So I would be like, all right, Jim, here's your pull list for this week. I'm sending you digital codes for all these comics. When the printers come back, I will also send you a physical copy of all of these comics. Now, clearly, there's a lot of moving parts there, and people would be losing money, the distributors, the printers. There's some oddness there, but I think that would help the comic stores. That would keep the readers, like, we'd make money. I'd sell you that that digital copy for $3.99, and then you get that free copy when it comes back. It would keep you engaged. It would make the stores money. I'm still paying my normal discount on this stuff, so I'm still paying Marvel and DC and Diamond and everyone. So, I don't think this is something they could enact for next week, but I think they could do this. I don't think they will, but if they had something like this in place, I think potentially this could help quite a few stores. that can. And at this point,
my two cents is that that's a great idea, but that's too much of a great idea for that whole company to move that quickly.
Right.
That's my opinion. I mean, it's a great idea, and if they had several meetings, it's a very big company. Just knowing how big companies work, they work very slowly.
Well, and Comixology is also owned by Amazon, so that's the big cog right now.
I mean, that's definitely not going to help.
So for me, a large part of this depends on the expectation. Meaning, like, going back to my example of when I got an email saying stay home from work, originally it was supposed to be for 2 weeks. They said, don't come back to the office till this date. And then less than a week later, they pushed it out 2 more weeks. And I'm expecting any day now they're going to push it out even further. But a lot of these, like when the schools shut down here, originally it was go back on this date. Then I got a phone call today saying, yeah, our new estimate is May.
Yeah, that May 1st estimate's insanity because at that point you're done with school. You're done.
Yeah.
There will be no more public school this year.
Yeah.
But colleges where my wife worked, they're already saying like we're basically done till fall.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You have to have a like generalized agreement of this is how long things are going to be put on hold for. Like if Diamond said for sure we are shut down for the next 3 months, I guarantee you the companies would be scrambling for what can we do to correct that. If Diamond's saying we're going to be shut down for 2 weeks, they're not going to want to put something in place with the expectation that things can resume in 2 weeks.
Right. There's just not an ETA when any of this is going to happen. So
Well, on a positive note, eBay is still up, and my post office is still open, and I'm still shipping.
For now.
Hey, it is. You're right. You're exactly right. For now, that's right.
So I'm gonna be a little selfish here, obviously, because this is my podcast, so I get to talk about the store and what we're going to be doing.
Okay.
So we have one more pickup time, which is Saturday. If you've bought comics online, you can come down to the store Saturday between 11 and 1 to pick up those comics. Subscribers will be contacted after this if they still have books in their pull box, because we're going to want to get those cleared out and shipped out as soon as possible. I could still set specific pickup times if needed, because I'm still going to be going into the store to do work from time to time. Our website is open, comicsconspiracy.biz. It's there. Everything we have in stock, we can ship. Stuff that's not in stock, we can still get. We don't really have a good way for people to order that without just emailing us. And, because of the limited shipping options from Diamond, it may take a little bit of time to get to us. But, if we have Why the Last Man volumes 1, 2, and 5, we can get 3 and 4 for you. So, let us know. We're happy to send them all out at once. The big thing that we're doing for the time being is we actually created some war bonds, the Comics Conspiracy Store credit. If you go on our front page, there's going to be a link on the very top for Comics Conspiracy Store credit. Basically, for $25, you can buy a $25, it's like a gift card, right? Redeemable once the store has been reopened. This will help myself. This will help me pay Marshall and Brock for their time, because Brock's been working his ass off. Marshall's been gone. I still want to try to get him paid through the end of this month for what would have been his normal hours. This will help us pay any of our outstanding bills that are still due. Obviously, the last 2 weeks have been just a fucking nightmare. So I basically have told everyone, like, I'll pay what I can pay when I can pay it. And I think everyone's kind of doing the same thing. But, I still need to eat for the next 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks. I have no idea, right?
Fake news.
So, especially if you're local and you want to throw a little support at the store, you can pick those up. Just use the same email address as you use for your Comic Hub account, and all the accounts are linked. And once we're reopened, we'll apply those credits. If you're mail order or out of state, you could still buy them. We just have to process those a little bit differently. But again, once we reopen and anything we have in store or anything we can get, you can apply those too. Also, if you want to buy them and never redeem them, that is totally cool too. I am not too proud to beg for donations, because this is my income and I have none for the foreseeable future, or extremely little for the foreseeable future. So, comicsconspiracy.biz. You can jump on there, order stuff. We're still shipping. We're still going to be sending stuff out. So, eBay as well. We've had a lot of old stuff that I've been trying to get on eBay slowly through the last couple months. Just,
I'm
junk, random old issues, low grade, just...
I'm sorry. Please,
I love your sales pitches.
Yes, thank you.
No, like people love $5 Silver Age and Bronze Age issues. Trust me, like we're putting them up cheap. These aren't 9/8 copies of Amazing Fantasy 15. This is a beater copy of Conan number 25. But you might need that beater copy of Conan 25. You don't want to pay $40-$50 for it. You want a $5 copy. Boom, we've got it, right?
No, I love the whole like one man's trash is another man's treasure.
It is.
You're pretty much sales pitching. This is my trash.
Well, the problem is we have a lot of this, and they're lower grade and lower price, and they take up a lot of space in the bin. I don't really move enough of it, so we're putting them up cheap on eBay just to try to move some stuff. Again, a lot of people buy reader copies, so if you're looking for cheap stuff. We have it. We're going to be still, starting next week. I'm going to start putting more up. We have some stuff up now, but more will be going up next week. So
I'll take some blame for that because I haven't been there to come through and fleece all your bins like I usually do. So,
well, once we reopen, we're also going to have a big sale because our April sale was supposed to be in 2 weeks. So really, that's not going to happen.
Comic book day too.
Free comic book day is just not happening.
It's not happening. Oh, they said that. No. I read something about them pushing it till July at least right now.
Sure, okay. And Comic-Con as of today is still happening. So whatever, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
So Higgins, question about that. So free comic book day, they probably had all that ready to go in the pipeline, at least in some capacity.
We got a shipment of it today.
Oh, no way.
We got they were sending them out in small waves because they used to send them all at once. This year we're just going to send them out in multiple waves. So we got the first wave, and I'm like, cool. These are going to sit in my garage for 6 months.
So they will still say, "Don't break this." How does it work? They'll still say, "Don't break the street
date." Don't break the street date. Yeah, they're going to have advertisements from never. Bloodshot, right? Oh, poor New Mutants, man. Poor New Mutants. That movie just can't catch a break. Bloodshot's already on streaming.
Hey, whenever you guys are ready to talk about the Mutants comic, I'm all about that. That's been 50% good.
They pushed the Wonder Woman movie to August, I think.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Even that again, that's wishful thinking. I think.
But we'll see. Pushed. I guess Bloodshot was the last movie, and then Black Widow. I guess they're talking about digital for her.
Black Widow is permanently is now on a permanent what the heck is it delay, right? There's no date. It was taken off the schedule entirely.
Oh, okay. Because I thought I read something about them releasing it as a digital pay.
I don't. So. I mean, I think they would just push it back because that's going to be.
I mean, there's been a lot of rumors about stuff going digital, but no, none of the big expensive blockbusters have even really seriously considered going digital first. I mean, they'd have to see some insane numbers with the stuff they're releasing now to even consider that because they need a much larger box office for a big budget movie.
Oh, absolutely. But with that last trailer,
digital trailer, $20 digital rental or even purchase is not going to cover the ticket sales of taking you and your family to the movies at all.
Yeah, that would be a good movie for first weekend. Break free, break free from the coronavirus and come see Black Widow.
Yeah, I know that was one of the reasons Pat Jenkins said they're pushing Wonder Woman back because they want a big tentpole movie, get people back in the theaters. But again, that's there's been a lot of talk of previous pandemics where they're like, it doesn't go away. It comes back. It can come back stronger. People get lax.
Oh, it can mutate. It can very easily mutate.
I mean, we may be in for quite some time of this.
Yeah. I mean, my mentality also is even when they open up theaters again and that kind of stuff, the turnout of people traveling and going to theaters and all that is not going to bounce back right away at all. It's going to take time. And
depending on how long it is, people could be stone cold broke.
Oh, and scared too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah, to me, even if the theaters are open in August, I think that would be a mistake. I think you'd still see people affected by the not wanting to go lock themselves in a room with a bunch of strangers.
Yeah. Yeah, because we just don't know. Would I love roaming vans of vaccinators out on the streets of every city in the world in 6 weeks? But I think we're way off from that. I think they said 12 to 18 months. I think we've got a hell of a 2020 ahead of us. And this goes to everything, right? This goes to the election. The Olympics officially pushed back to 2021 now. So there's a lot of stuff that's changing rapidly. How do they release a new iPhone during all this, right? Like, would it make sense? Would people even buy it? I mean, I guess some people would, but how do you release a new product? PlayStation 4 and Xbox are supposed to come out. Video games are doing well, but are people going to be willing to spend that money on a new console? I don't know.
Honestly, I was even considering...
You just depressed Bryce right there.
I was just considering the other day that, like, part of me wants to cancel my cell phone right now. I'm out of contract. They're not really offering me any good deals on new phones to get me into contract, and I'm not going anywhere.
You're not going to have good reception is what you're not going to have.
I just bought Leanne a new iPhone.
I mean, my mentality on this is I'm paying a bill for the ability to have a mobile phone while I'm sitting at home with my home phone still.
You have a home phone?
Yes, I still have a home phone.
I do too.
And so do I.
Fucking hell. Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone and that third motherfucker. How is it sliding down the dinosaur's tail?
Even if I didn't, it would be very easy to get set up on Skype or something like that for phone calls. Yeah. It's just it's just like that reality kind of sunk in on me the other day where, like, other than wanting to hold on to my phone number, I couldn't come up with a good reason to keep paying for a cell phone if I know I'm going to be trapped in the house for another month or more.
For Bryce and Jim who work from home, how do you answer emails like this all day? Because if I have to answer another goddamn email, I'm going to kill myself.
Well,
I'm so sick of it.
Bryce, you go ahead. You go first.
No, I mean, like, think about the converse. You spend your day and look, I've never been accused of being exactly an introvert, but like you sit and you're face to face with germs all day, every day as part of your job, and you're wondering how you're able to, how we're able to live with ourselves. Like, I miss going into the office. I miss the interaction. I miss the dirty train. I miss, I miss a bunch of that stuff. But the social interaction was great. But yeah, I mean, you adapt and yeah, I sit at home and knock out emails all day long. But when I want to get away, I can get away. I can keep to myself. So I'm not sure that was an eloquent answer or an elegant answer. But there you go. Jim, do you have any wisdom to add? I mean, I just think that answering emails is vastly superior to having to deal face to face with a bunch of people that I cannot be bothered with. I mean, I can't even imagine how many people will come into your store and strike up conversation with you that I would be like, oh my God, get me out of this conversation immediately.
Well, just take a count off of Twitter. Every time somebody shows up, he sends out a tweet. Whether you
only sometimes.
Do that only twice every time.
I don't just deal with emails. I deal with emails, but I'm also troubleshooting, but I'm also looking up information. I have 4 monitors in front of me right now. And one monitor is just email traffic. The other monitor is troubleshooting and looking up documentation and stuff like that. The third monitor is my laptop monitor right below that one because I got a big 32-inch monitor right in front of me. The 2 sides are 24s or 28s, one of those. And
Jesus Christ, Jim.
Yeah. So the one all the way to the right, that one is a 24/7 playing movies looped. so that right there that offsets my brain 15% so I can stay sane. So I'm constantly working, but I constantly have something else I'm listening to.
What's playing right now?
Iron Man.
Eighth time you've watched it this week?
No, actually, I just finished Endgame, and Far From Home. So
you're just starting back. You're starting back in the beginning.
I haven't reset the loop. I change it. I change it every day. Some days it's all horror movies. Some days it's all MCU. Sometimes it's DC. Sometimes it's I just pick a few movies and throw them on a drive and sit there and loop them so I can have something to hear just to make the bunnies in my brain a little happier so I can get work done.
See, I'm just sort of picturing Jim at home, but having basically the experience that I have at the shop recording the podcast. Occasionally looking over at a monitor and being like,
"Yeah,
what the hell? Oh yeah."
Well, when I copied Ryan's drive from the shop, I had that looping for a while, but there were points in times I'm like, what the hell is he watching? I can't watch this.
It's always Doctor Who.
It was Doctor Who, or it was some other something else. It was just something else.
When you ask, what the hell is this? The answer is always Doctor Who.
And but I mean, I don't have just the monitors and the laptop and the keyboard and stuff in front of me. I have, I have posters off to my right. I have the statues I'm working on the table. I got set up next to my desk. All the stuff I was working on. I got the Rocketeer standing in front of me. I got a Rubik's Cube on the edge of my desk. You make it so you can enjoy the workspace. That's all you can do. I don't enjoy working from home. I'd much rather travel and come out there and see you guys, or go to China or go to Korea. Not right now, but usually when I did it,
North Korea.
Never North Korea.
Hey man, just roll into Korea, get tested, you're fine. They're good over there. We're a nightmare here.
Yeah. If you're tested positive, no, I'm not going to go there. But I heard bad things about North Korea and testing positive. But yeah, you just gotta and just deal with the emails as they come. And at this time, Ryan, you deal with it. That's all you can do. That's all you can do, man.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of it.
Yeah, so Bryce, we're on minute 30 of talking about working from home. Let's get moving here,
Bryce. Yeah. So my voice is not going to be the best for the rest of this podcast because I feel my cold's being a little weird.
You want me to host the rest?
If the people have asked for anything, it's because of all this. Bryce must have had so much time to catch up on all his comic books.
Okay, keep going. I'm caught up. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Are you really? Nice.
Wait. What does that mean? Caught up to where?
Caught up to my last shipment, but I'm all caught up on Batman. I'm all caught up on anything that Hickman's been writing. I'm all caught up on. Well, okay, I'm not all caught up, but I'm mostly caught up on everything Jason Aaron's been writing. And that's probably 90% of where I ever was. So I'm happy to talk mainly X-Men or Batman. I want to talk about the transition, the Batman transition. Of course, I would love to talk about X-Men. If you guys have any X-Men thoughts or questions, I have some things that I can share. But what you guys do you say Tinian or do you say Tinian the Fourth?
Tinian the Fourth.
Oh, is it Tinian, not Tinian?
I think it's Tinian, but I'm sure. Yeah.
No man opts in to having Tiny in his name, in his surname. He's got to pronounce that Tinian, right?
Maybe
it wasn't Tiny Wynn Lannister. It was Tywin Lannister.
Tywin, James Tinian.
Yeah. It wasn't Tiny and that's got to be at least 50% right. Anyway, Tinian the Fourth. Oh, what a name! What a name! Okay, so can
how much did you sell your copy of Batman '89 for?
Okay, can you explain to me? So I got all my Batmans and I read them, and I have my feelings, which I would like to chat about the transition from King to Tinian, not Tinian. But so why is it? Because I saw some stuff on. So, okay, let me just preface all of this going forward. My Facebook presence has fallen off a cliff. I cannot be bothered with Facebook with all of their, craziness and whatnot. Facebook is just, it's less and less appealing to me to log on every day. So I have not logged on every day. I log on much more infrequently. And so I miss things like Higgins saying, "Hey, I'm not going to text you, but I'll Facebook message you and say, hey, do you want to be on the podcast this week?" And then only one day before the actual podcast, he'll say, "Hey, do you want to be on the podcast tomorrow since you haven't checked your Facebook, asshole?" So without checking Facebook, except for here and there, I didn't know that this was an extra special issue. And then I saw our little Facebook group absolutely blowing up. So is it this Joker's daughter that looks like the Joker but with circles under her cheeks or on her cheeks?
Punchline.
Her name's Punchline.
Okay, can you explain to me what all this hubbub is about, bub?
Speculators, man. It's filthy speculators.
But why is 89? Because didn't she have like the back of her hood in like 86 or 87 or something like that?
No,
that's also going for
that's her cameo appearance. Yeah, her first full appearance is in Year of the Villain. I mean, people it's a new back character, so people globbed onto this like crazy,
Wait, but why 89? Does she show up more in 89?
No, that's her first appearance.
First appearance.
Wait, I'm looking at.
That's her cameo.
Right,
that's her cameo appearance.
Are you talking about in the epilogue her lips?
Yep, that's it.
Even though, like, just almost as much is shown in the back of her head, which shows up in like 86 or 87 or something like that.
I don't believe she was in there.
I'm gonna find it, and I'm gonna make my first post for a long time, for a while, onto the Facebook group. But I'm pretty sure that the back of her hood was in there somewhere. But it's never happened before. But I could be wrong. Okay, so anyway, for new listeners, have you guys talked about the transition from Tinian? And by the way, I've never been wrong, but that could not be the way to pronounce that. Can you? I know that your voice is shot to crap, but like, can you explain the general consensus with the like what happened? Like, I know that they wanted to like pivot away from Tom King, but like it was a very abrupt change, and I know that they closed the story arcs, in my opinion, very well. By the way, they closed run.
King's Run is going to continue in the Batman Catwoman comic.
So that has not come out yet. So that is going to. Yep. Okay. But I thought that he put such a good bow on it. Does he have more to tell? He kind of finished the marriage story.
Yeah. I mean, they're like half married, not married, kind of married. So, but yeah, Tiny and...
Oh, does he want to see the marriage through?
Don't know. Yeah, they're going in, they wanted to, I think, ramp up the big villains. This is kind of like, sort of a take on Hush, maybe, where they're like, yeah, let's ramp up the villains.
Exactly what I was going to say was this Tinian thing. This Tinian thing, it absolutely smells of Hush to me, but I haven't been reading the articles and reading the spoilers and whatnot. It seems absolutely like a Hush, but it's going to be weird if it just ends up being like a Joker's daughter. And by the way, like what is the Joker's daughter gonna provide that Harley Quinn wasn't supposed to provide in spirit? Like, wasn't she always supposed to spiritually be the Joker's, next of kin?
Well, no, Harley's his girlfriend, and she's his girlfriend. There's actually a character called Joker's daughter. She's a totally different character.
Yeah.
Who's not his daughter?
Who's not his daughter is actually Dula Dent. It's actually Two-Face's daughter.
That's all pre-Crisis.
Wait, pre-original Crisis?
Yeah. The new Joker's daughter is just some random lady. I don't even think she's no relation to the Joker.
And so what is this college fund of a comic book I'm sitting on? What is her name? Sidekick?
Yeah. No, Punchline.
Sidekick. Same thing.
First appearance of Joker's daughter also went crazy for a while.
Yeah. And now worthless.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. God, DC is the worst. Okay, so Punchline is going to be, pulling all the strings. Like, is there any way that Tinian the Fourth can tell a story that's better than. I mean, I know that it's apples and oranges a little.
Sorry, I had to just stop and tell Leah not to take my money trees down in Animal Crossing. Sorry. Go ahead.
Not to take your money trees down. What?
In Animal Crossing, playing Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I know about money trees and I know about Animal Crossing, but I think less of you for that sentence. So So is there any way that this isn't just a revamp to Hush, and that Punchline is actually more devious and that different than Hush?
Well, she's just kind of I mean, this is all leading up to Joker War. It's all Joker. Punchline's just his like new sidekick. Like, there's no other. Her full origin's going to be in the Joker anniversary issue, but there's like no other story to her now.
Continuing the grand tradition of Batman, the Batman universe, where we have like basically two main characters, Batman and Joker, and we have 1,000 spin-offs of Batman and 100 spin-offs of Joker. He has a tremendous rogues gallery, so I'll grant you that. But okay, so basically, Punchline is just another Joker sidekick clone, and it's all going to come back to Joker, and the story is going to be not that impressive. Is that what's going on?
We don't know.
Okay, Joker War. I feel like we just got out of a Joker War right before the Bane War.
Although, the other thing that suffered, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the other thing that suffered during this was the three Jokers was supposed to come out, was teased to come out, and now it's delayed too.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. That's in the new previews. Even the new previews catalog, it shipped this week, but I don't think any of it's. So I don't know what they're going to do.
Can you imagine the boardroom conversation where Dan Didio, and he was still around, is like, you know what's better than one Joker is 3 Jokers, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, that is excellent.
So who wants to tell Bryce? Who wants to tell him?
Oh dear.
Go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead, Ryan.
So this is all Jeff Johns, by the way. This is not a Dan Didio thing. This is all a Jeff Johns thing. He came up with the idea in the Dark Side War. Hey, another war, and teased that like 3 years ago, and now it's finally happening. So this is all Jeff Johns.
Wait, okay. So first of all, I love Jeff Johns. He can do almost no wrong, but wow, this is about as close as he can get to doing wrong. Okay, so hey, by the way, sub question. Now that we're talking about Jeff Johns, is there like a good? Can somebody in the crew post a link to like a good breakdown of Doomsday Clock? I read number 12, and it was number 12. It wasn't, I don't think, bad or good. And I don't know if this is just me being like older and more cynical. I'm not sure, or me just more likely me just not understanding it. But like, was it supposed to be remotely as profound as Watchmen?
No, it's trying to do a very different thing.
What is it trying to do? Or is there a good article that I can read that'll save you the breath if you've already talked about it for new listeners?
No, I mean, yeah, this article kind of explained the breakdown, but this was Johns wanted to play with those characters, but also kind of undo New 52. So that's Doomsday Clock. It gives a reason that everything happened.
Okay.
And, I mean, from the way I look at it, stories like Watchmen and stuff change DC Comics profoundly in a lot of ways. Like, we've talked about that era of comics at the time where things started to skew darker because of the success of Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns and that kind of stuff. And I kind of feel like this was Johns' way of directly acknowledging that impact by doing the reverse, by saying, rather than Watchmen and bringing these characters over to DC, fundamentally changing DC, the exact opposite happens. Where Johns has now, by sort of setting this up, done the exact sort of mirror of what DC can bring to Watchmen.
Okay. And so this is probably just my enormous pea-sized brain talking. But first of all, it was confusing as fuck. Second of all, like, what were they trying to get across to your average reader? I mean, 2 years later, I've read issue 12, and I can't tell you. Did you guys know without looking up, like, what's supposed to be coming out of this? Did you guys, without looking it up, did you read number 12 and you were like, okay, yeah, wow, that'll work. I get it.
The big push at the end is Dr. Manhattan was responsible for all the changes in New 52, and now they've figured out a way around it and given Dr. Manhattan kind of a send off. The Watchmen characters kind of returned back to normal, and now they've brought back the Justice Society, the Legion, and everything that he'd done has sort of been undone. And this now leads into the upcoming work, including what Scott Snyder is going to do in Death Metal. So this is sort of the the where they're taking the DC universe going forward, trying to return it back to semblance.
That's what I needed. I needed an explanation like that. I got some of that. Like I got that he's responsible for all of it. I got that he them back to where they were in their original universes. But I did not get, what was the second thing you said? So I got that he brought back the Justice Society and the Legion. I didn't know that they were gone. They've been gone this whole time. I haven't seen a comic from them.
Yeah, they were gone post New 52 for the most part. Okay. The Legion was still around in some degree, but then it went entirely. So.
Oh, I really missed them. Wow, that's.
I'm gonna leave. Okay. I'm gonna leave. I know we had teased before all this shit went down some X-Men talk when you were supposed to be on last time. So I know some people want to hear about X-Men. Charlie and Jim, I'm going to let you take Bryce if he has any questions. You guys got some answers.
Take me on a wild adventure. We've been talking about DC for way over their time allotment. Oh, Jim, thank you for this. I just got this.
Yeah, it's just a wiki and it has the summaries of each book, so that might help you out a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't say that I hated it, other than to say that I was just like, Jesus, this fucking book is taking 2 years, and not everyone, hashtag hyperbole, but I kept seeing quotes like, "Oh, a worthy successor to Watchmen." It was like, fucking what? In no way was Doomsday Clock a worthy successor to Watchmen. It was, it did something, but Watchmen. It will go down in history, and Doomsday Clock. I mean, fuck, man, if I could already forget it, I would. Jesus. Okay.
What are we going after? New X-Men, New Mutants? We're going after X-Men now?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So did Higgins have specific questions, or what have you guys been talking about X-Men and New Mutants? Or
nobody's been talking about universe? Nobody's been talking about X-Men at all. Go ahead.
Give it to me,
Charlie.
Charlie.
We've talked about how we don't necessarily feel like it's gone anywhere since after Hawks and Pox. There's just been a lot of weird one-shot issues that are more about this is the state of the world and less about this is the story direction we're taking it.
Okay, so have you guys read the Hellions, X-Factor, X-Force, Cable, X-Society?
I've given up on most stuff other than the main X-Men book.
Fallen Angels. That's one.
Yeah, I've read. Let me see.
I had
the first couple issues of X-Force, and then I kind of fell off as we kind of started running out of issues at the shop. I've read everything. Well, I might be an issue behind. I'd have to look it up on X-Men, but I was current at least up through one issue behind, and I've enjoyed a lot of the issues, but there's no this is the story I'm telling. It's like the closest thing to a setup for, well, okay, that's not true. There's a lot of threads they could potentially pick up, but none of them are obviously a thread of a story that they are immediately trying to tell right now. And at least for me, that makes it very, very hard to pitch what makes this run great. So pitch me what makes this run great, Bryce.
So before I do, because I need to go to the kitchen real quick, and so I'm going to put myself on mute for 30 seconds. Can you tell me thus far in 30 seconds or exactly that what you thought of the X-Men or just the X-Men run so far?
So if I count Hawks and Pox, there was so much to talk about, so much to unpack from those issues. But again, they were very much setting up this is the state of the world. The most interesting thing they did was what they did with Moira and what that could potentially mean. But when the main X-Men book launched, we haven't really seen Moira. It's been all the okay, we're going to go meet with the world leaders about this, and they're going to do this, but we're going to outmaneuver them and send a message that we're not going to be fucked with anymore. Or you have the Mystique with Destiny issue where she kind of realizes that they're not fulfilling their end of the bargain, so they have that thread. You have the thread with the time advanced world that they send a team into that they could pick up the thread
Children of the Vault.
Yeah, Children of the Vault. You have, let me see, what else? It's been a lot of one issue over here, one issue over here, one issue over here. And I will say this. Every piece of dialogue out of Kid Cable's mouth makes me want to punch him.
Wait, so what? What books are you reading that he's in? Because
there were,
just like
in
tweeted,
issue 2,
neither you or I got Cable.
Issue 1 or 2. No, 1 and 2. There was at least one scene in like number 1 where they were pulling the like dad or mom, blah 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 blah, and then there was another issue where he went off with Cyclops.
Charlie, absolutely. Oh, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that was months ago, but but yes. Oh, dude, the whole Summers House thing, and he's being like a petulant youth. I was like, somebody fucking go back in time and kill this kid. That would be appropriate for Cable, or Kid Cable. Okay, so you asked me for what makes this book great. Fair?
Yes.
Is that what you asked me? Okay.
Yes, that's what I asked you.
Okay, so I would say that like a puzzle, which is I think a good simile or metaphor. Like a puzzle. I guess that's a simile, even though I think of it more as Hickman's work as being no, maybe it's just a simile. Okay, either way, I'll unpack that later. I think that his other works have been very puzzle-like. His work on Avengers. I'm still a terrible comic reader because I still have never read his Fantastic Four run, which I understand to be seminal work and some of the best Fantastic Four ever written. But I do think that his Avengers work was really good in a Higgins loves Morrison way, which is if you can get it all downloaded and processed, it's an amazing story. It's a very complicated story. Some of it for me flew way over my head, but it's frustrating. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There were definite story arcs to his Avengers run, though.
Okay, I agree. But what I will say is, let's look at this. We are 3 months in, not even 4. Are we even 4 months in?
I don't know. With how quickly some of these books are coming out, it's impossible.
So I believe that I believe that it's bi-month. Is it bi-weekly or bi-monthly? Which one is the 2? Semi-monthly would mean 2, so bi-weekly would be 2 every 2 weeks. Okay, so they're bi-weekly, I believe, semi-monthly, if I'm using that correctly. And so it hasn't been a lot of time. And I will have everybody be aware that every issue of the main X-Men story, we'll just talk about the main X-Men story right now. It has been opening your eyes as to a different chapter, a different avenue, a different alley of the X-Men universe. So in Hawks and Pox, they unveil this complicated world that Charlie and I are X-Men experts, and Jim too. Nobody more so than me. But we will just say that we, all three of us, read it because Brock and Higgins aren't reading that shit because they would just shit on it without even reading it, especially Brock. But anyway, they would say, okay, look, there are so many more questions than answers in these books, right? And I agree with you about the Moira stuff, very intriguing. But what I believe that those books did very well was they did a great job of planting the seeds of world building, right? So we have this whole new standard for the X universe, and
it's pronounced cult.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say out loud that you're wrong. It's very weird, and I was definitely thinking about it, reading these past couple of months the X related stuff that Higgins sends, but even though it's only been New Mutants and X-Men. Yeah, like 50% of me wishes that it was like an Elseworlds-ish type of separate, Age of Apocalypse type of different, like sort of, off to the side thing. And then the other half of me is kind of like, okay, are we going to look back on this in however many, years or decades and realize this was a seminal turning point in the X universe in a good way? And we won't know that until several years from now. Like, there were probably people our current age during Age of Apocalypse, not Age of X-Man, don't get started on that, but they were probably like, oh, come on, what are you doing? Oh, what are you doing? Oh, this is garbage, or whatever they were thinking. But we won't know for several years whether or not this ends up being a good job or a bad job. It's only been 3 months. Fair?
So,
yes, it is fair.
Right.
So my expectation is, because it's Hickman, there will be somewhere where it turns, where stuff starts to line up, and I will switch to be like, this is amazing. But that's purely based on Hickman's track record. Like, it's purely based on all the stuff that I've read of Hickman. But honestly speaking, I'm not sure that I've been this, I'm trying to think of the right term, but
confuddled. You're looking for confuddled.
Even his, like, Fantastic Four, when the pieces line up, you go, holy crap, this is amazing. But I was enjoying it before that. Like, I felt there was still a story being told before that. Like, his Avengers run again had story arcs, and then when you put it together for, like, the full story he was doing, these disparate story arcs and stuff started to fit, as you said, like puzzle pieces. What's weird to me about the X-Men book is if somebody wanted me to encapsulate, like, what has been the story so far, it kind of comes down to exactly what I was telling you before, and that doesn't sound like a story.
Okay, but if somebody were to ask me, okay, so you asked me what is so great about the X-Men book, and I would say, okay, they did a great job of very abstractly world building. One of the books was very general, very broad, sort of planting some seeds and some roots of this new world that we're all going to have to be living in. While the other book was very specific and targeted about telling us exactly why it's so fucking important and crazy, the shit that's happening, right? Okay, the Moira story. So since it's happened, again, let's remind ourselves, there's only been 7 issues. Okay, each issue, not a lot, has dealt with a separate avenue or a separate little niche segment of this new world. He's trying to flesh out the world one little bit at a time. Okay, all these people on the council. Okay, why on earth put Gorgon on the what's it called, the table of the boss bitches, the council, whatever it's called. We'll call it the council. So the leader table, the X-Men of the Round Table. Okay, Apocalypse is there. Gorgon is there. Why are these people there? Black King is there. Why are these people there? But every book thus far has had them playing a prominent role. Now, most books have had Professor X in them, which is half, I would say, refreshing, because it's like, okay, so he's not just some, enigmatic cult leader, but like in every issue that he's in, he is an enigmatic cult leader. So it is a little, I grant you, it's, the whole Professor X with that weird helmet it's a little weird. But, Cyclops is in most of them, and Wolverine's in most of them. But, I like getting, and I don't have them all in front of me, but you get like a little view of, what Apocalypse is doing, and, what Black King is there for, and what Gorgon is there for. And this last issue or the one before, whichever one, with Nightcrawler and talking about his faith. And so I do believe that slowly he's fleshing out this new world that he's created, but he only has so much to work with, and working at almost a Claremont level. Actually, I don't believe he is, because Claremont was a fucking animal. But he's working very hard, including his now I believe I can do this correctly, his bi-monthly writing of the New Mutants books. In addition to whatever else he's doing, I'm not sure if he's still doing East of West or other Image books, but I believe that he is slowly, and it is slow, and it's painful for you and me who are like, okay, we just got this mega. It was like we got to binge watch the Hawks and Pox stuff, and then the rest of it is coming out on a network TV schedule. That's like my magnum opus for Hickman's run. Is that, in fact, I hope that I'm still recording, because I can see that you guys might have hung up on me a while ago because I've been
I'm here
for too long. But what I'm saying is that, like, we got to binge watch a whole season or two of like this HBO content, and then they start giving us the weekly download. And we're like, oh no, but there was so much good stuff all at once, and the art was great, and the writing was great, and it was like, it raised so many more questions than answers. And so he's very slowly now giving us the answers, but we're like, fuck. Yeah, go ahead.
So there are definitely books that feel that way, that I'm like, this is going to read a lot better in trade. Right now, I would not say that about the X-Men books. Like, I don't feel like the binge reading these 7 issues would drastically change my opinion of it versus reading them one at a time.
I agree with that. I'm trying to think, and again, a little bit of this conversation is handicap. I might not have Fantastic Four, but I mean, I guess with Avengers it was a little different because they had them split up into 2 separate books, so they were able to have 2 separate things. And so if he's trying to tell a story in one X-Men book, maybe is it a flaw of his or of Marvel's not to have his story going on in 2 X-Men books? Because his New Mutants, I've enjoyed the half that he writes, but I wouldn't exactly say that it's advancing the story of the X-Men side of things, even though they're congruous, if that's the right way of using that. So I see what you're saying. What I'm saying though is that every issue he writes is telling another chapter, and we won't know until at least he's done 12 issues if this is making sense. What I'm very nervous about, a little bit concerned about, is this one of those things where I believe Bendis got to at some point in time. Lord knows Frank Miller got there. George R.R. Martin has been there for fucking several decades. Is that at what point do they become such big names that the editor loses control? And you always say about the great writers is that later on in their career, if only they had a good editor, that they maybe not all the time, but they were able to more succinctly tell their story, or they're able to fucking get their draft out the door. Whereas when you get a certain amount of publicity and notoriety to your work, you're able to sort of overcome all that and say, fuck you, editors. So I just hope that he hasn't got that much clout where he's able to be like, trust me, I know what I'm doing, and then put out a shit product. Which I kind of feel like
he's at the point where editors aren't. I kind of feel that way anytime they sold the X-Men relaunch on his name alone. Really.
That's what I'm kind of, I don't agree with that.
So much on his name, I don't think editorial has as much control as they would have if they were trying to sell what he was doing on the book rather than his name.
Sure, I will but you. Sure, but at some level, somebody must have been like, okay, if we're going to relaunch the X-Men, if we're going to like burn this to the ground, everything that we've done prior, and have this be current X-Men canon, surely he's got like a larger game plan, right? There's got to be some sort of thing that he has planned for the X-Men.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure he has a vision. I'd like to get some glimpse of what that actual vision is at some point.
Yes, and to jump in here, I agree with Charlie. I would love to get at least an idea of what direction he's going right now.
Okay, that's fair. And I didn't read the Fantastic Four stuff, but with the Avengers, when he was 3 months in, bros, fucking context. Like when he was 3-4 months into his Avengers stuff, we had no clue how it was going to wind up.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, and this is what I keep going back to.
You yelled at me. Oh yeah,
there were
loud, I forgot.
Definite story arcs. Like I remember us talking about like, okay, well that story was okay. I'm not really into what he's doing with the like architects and that kind of stuff, but like it felt like there was a story there to review.
Okay, but dude, 2 things. First of all, New Mutants, his every other month book of New Mutants has a very definite story arc. First of all. Second of all, who's to say that like he's not going to have this, he had Hawks and Pox. Very good story arcs in both of them. Fair? Yes, Bryce, it is fair. Thank you, Charlie and Jim. So who's to say that after he gets a couple little one-shots out of the way, because they've been similar related, but obviously, to your point, not story arcs. Okay, but who's to say he doesn't need to just like get off like 6 or 8 or 12 like one shots, and then he goes into a more consistent, okay, here's the story. Because you have to admit that he like sort of dropped this world on us in 6 issues of, or 12 issues of Hawks and Pox. I mean, I would argue just 12 because only, or I'm sorry, just 6 because only 6 were really dedicated to it. But that after that, we had so many questions, and he's kind of going through them and like nailing down, because a lot of people had questions like, why would Gorgon be on the team? Why would Apocalypse be on the team? Why would Exodus be on the team? You know, like, what about Nightcrawler's faith with regards to this cult-like behavior? He's kind of answering in little ways all of these crazy questions that everybody has. Not crazy like they're crazy to have them, but crazy because there's questions about fucking literally everything, and he's kind of going through and answering all of them. So who's to say that he doesn't like take a couple, maybe a whole year, and he bullet checks every single one of these questions that people have, and then he goes through and he goes back to the normal cadence of little arcs, and then his arcs build, and then it's all, you know, coalesced into some great big story. Considering what he started with Hawks and Pox and the bulletproof question answering that he's been doing with his one shot issues and his story arc that he's had in New Mutants, I'll give him the time.
You're willing to keep on giving him time. How much time is enough?
Well,
at what point do you say I don't agree? I can't keep doing this with this
book?
Great,
excellent, Jim. Excellent question. So for me, this is going to surprise absolutely nobody. I will never unsubscribe to the X-Men. So for me, the answer is, you know, short of them putting Cy Spurrier on the X-Men, I will continue buying X-Men forever. With regards to Hickman, I just don't think that he has it in him to not write an intriguing story. So I'll be getting that as well anyway. With regards to whether or not I will say this is a successful book in the layman's eyes or the neutral's eyes, I would say give him 6 to 12 months to start to get his shit together, which I would say that he doesn't have for the neutral right now. I mean, I do understand and agree and acknowledge that he's got to, at some point, start having to like have some story that he puts together. But, you know, if his stories are more like tapestries or puzzles, then, you know, I give him more time and you know.
I've dropped the X-Men before, right after Onslaught. Right after Onslaught happened, I dropped the X-Men for a while. Picked up again right before, I'm going to say a few months before Age of Apocalypse. Kept on going for a while. I dropped them again later on. This run, like you both said, it's kind of disjointed right now, and I'm having a struggle with so many. It feels like we have more than a half a dozen miniseries going on. Don't know which one, if I want to keep reading it or if I would just want to wait until the trade comes out. And I will collect the trades. I would love an omnibus of these runs, these storylines, you know, of all of them together. But if they're going to put all the number ones in one book, that makes no sense at all. They have to put them, you know, it has to be the whole run.
Yeah, I can't imagine they do that. But I am with you on that. Like
they are doing that, Bryce.
That's why I said it.
Wait, they're putting all the number ones in one omnibus?
No, in one trade. The way they're releasing the trades is a trade of like the number ones, a trade of the number twos.
Okay. So first of all, shut the front door. That can't be. Just kidding. Okay, so that's obviously very disappointing. But look, okay, that is not Hickman's decision. That is the people that sell books' decision, and they're making, in my opinion, based on what you're saying, they're making a terrible decision. But that is not like the direction of the X-Men universe. So yeah, that's terrible. So I didn't get anything but the Hickman books because I was not convinced that they were going to be necessarily good, and my plan was to pick them up in trades after, you know, every 6 issues. based on them being good, and it doesn't sound like I'm going to be spending a lot of money in that capacity. But yeah, I mean, I still stand by the idea that I like Hickman, the idea of him as a showrunner with a vision. I mean, his work with Bryce's son, what is his name? Ed Bryce's son? I'm pretty sure that's his surname. Bryce's son. Is that right? I think that's right. Okay, anyway. So him splitting the work with Bryce's son has been great. I mean, they seem to be collaborating because each book references each other, so it's been fine. And I haven't read the Fallen Angels or Hellions or whatever, but I'm disappointed to hear that they're going to put all the number ones into one book because I think that's a huge mistake. But that doesn't detract from the fact that, you know, Hickman has a vision for the X-Men, and that it, you know, starts to pull into a heavier gear here at some point.
Okay,
so maybe
let me ask you this: we go 3 months without a book. Will you pick them up again as soon as they pick up? If they resume that storyline, if they pick up in 3 months and start printing again, do you continue to pick up, or is it hard to continue it at that point?
That's a fair question, but you're asking the wrong person, because
you're going to pick them up anyway. Yeah, you're going to.
Yeah, ask me about how many times in my life I've dropped X-Men or World of Warcraft, and the answer is going to be disappointing to you if you want to.
I'm not disappointed. No, I'm not disappointed. I mean,
but my point is that I will keep picking it up. I'll keep picking up Hickman books.
Got it.
Because theoretically, I would love the idea of them all at home, all these writers stuck at home. I mean, like, we're all doing different shit that, like, we don't normally do, like cleaning the fuck out of our house that we never did before, or whatever it is for the other person. Learning, you know, the banjo, making a decoupage fucking Homer Simpson character. I don't know, but my point
Bryce.
is go ahead, Charlie. I'm rambling.
So the big announcement before all this happened, and it will probably get delayed, but the big announcement was the big first X-Men crossover event coming out of this was supposed to start in July, called 10 of Swords, which is a event where 10 mutants will be carrying legendary swords of the Marvel Universe. How excited are you for 10 of Swords?
Wait, of the what universe? You dropped a little.
Marvel Universe.
10 legendary swords of the Marvel Universe?
And it's a 15-part event centering around 10 mutants wielding the legendary swords of the Marvel Universe.
Wait, hold on. Is this something that I should have seen? What are you talking about? What 10 swords? Who has a sword? Magic.
They haven't named the swords yet.
Yeah.
Oh. So it's not like swords that exist.
No, swords that exist. I mean, we saw Wolverine, Muramasa sword for sure. We saw Magic's soul sword. You know, stuff like that. We don't know we don't know what all the swords are going to be.
Charlie. I hate to cop out and be lame about it, but is Hickman behind the event, or is Cy Spurrier behind the event? Is John Romita Jr. drawing the event?
As far as I know, John Romita Jr. is not drawing the event, and as far as I know, Hickman is behind the event. As far as I know.
Okay, so it's kind of not fair of you to ask, because, like, out of context, that obviously sounds incredibly lame. But, like, you know, with Hickman's direction, who's to say? I mean, what you just gave me is like a Fox News soundbite, like that you could have just taken, like, a good pitch that somebody like. Think about the pitch that you just get. Nobody's giving that pitch to editorial and being like, "Yeah, this is a surefire winner." There must have been more to it, but you're giving me this twisted, like, okay, there's 10 swords and it's a 15-part event. You know, hot mic on Bryce. Go for it. What do you think? It's like, of course that sounds like crap.
Well, there you go. I just put an image and the text from the article I read, because I was almost reading it word for word.
Oh my God.
I was going to send him a picture, but okay.
Professor X is holding a sword. What's happening? Wait, hold on. The announcement was made at Marvel's X-Men panel during C2E2 2020. The 15-part event. Okay, is this 15-part event going to involve? Does that include the tie-ins? Fucking hell! Why are these people holding swords? Okay. This seems very silly to me. But, okay. I'm going to, God damn, that looks stupid. Okay. Well, I will just say that I'm going to wait for more information until I judge. But in the meantime, I stand by my argument, which is that he did a crazy world building job. He has a track record of doing great world building with his stories, and not necessarily world quote unquote, but like the backdrop of the canvas he's going to paint on. And it takes him a while to ramp up, and then he tells a good story. And he may or may not be one of those guys that needs an editorial hand, but he's too big for the editors. And time will tell about that. But I need to learn more about this crazy sword thing because
I just sent you a picture, Bryce.
No, that's the same picture. Thank you for doing that.
Okay,
that's the same picture though that Charlie sent.
Charlie.
And by the way, great picture. If it wasn't for all the swords. Wouldn't
that quite defeat the purpose, though?
Yeah, it would.
I just want to know what, as a sword aficionado, I love swords.
Oh, you are a sword.
I want to know what the swords are. I want to know what they are.
Oh, dear.
Admit it, Jim.
I guess
You just want to check swords off your list. Like, I have that one.
I do.
I have that one.
I do.
I have that one.
I do. Okay, I have the Excalibur sword. I have a red katana, which doubles as a Muramasa sword. So
okay. All right. So, other than that, so what do you guys give the out of 10? Give me your out of 10. The X-Men universe right now. Give me your out of 10s. Charlie, I will direct the conversation.
X-Men universe as a whole, I'm going to give a 4.
Okay,
the X-Men book, I would give a 6. But the universe, I'd give a 4.
That's good. Okay, 4 out of 4. That's a good record. Okay, Jim, what is giving both the universe and separately the X books only that you've read? Although that might be a short list.
It is a short list. The X books I've read so far, I got to go with. I was going to say a 5, but I'm going to stick with a 5. They're okay. They're not what I want, but I never get what I want, so that's fine too. I want to go back to the 90s, but that's just me. But the X universe as a whole, I enjoyed that they brought back a lot of characters. And not necessarily the way they brought them back, but I'm glad they're back. And I'm really enjoying seeing, I don't know, it feels like they're trying to do some good team stuff. I'm not there yet. And young Cable should die.
Well, I think that we're all in agreement on that. I'm definitely absolutely not enjoying young Cable. He kind of breaks my heart every time he's on the panel. Yeah, so I would give them both 11s out of 10s. No,
oh my God!
Well, I'm kidding mostly. I've only read the Hickman books, and I mean I've very much enjoyed them, but I've enjoyed them through the lens of I believe that these are threads in a tapestry, and Hickman's always been very, very good about that. I would be interested to hear Higgins' take on this, considering he's such a Morrison fan, and I see them, not the same style at all. I don't know how to put it, but I would just say that they are both so niche in their approaches, or maybe I'm just thinking of their immunity to editorial is maybe what I'm thinking of. But it just seems like they both can get away with murder, and their followers love them for that. I don't think that I love Hickman as much as Higgins loves Morrison, but Jesus, that's a tall order. Anyway,
well, Bryce, for new listeners. Episodes, and we did talk at length about what we thought of the current X-Men state, and I was I'm kind of in line with these guys. I'm not feeling it. There was a lot of good setup, but it's just we're not. They've got to go somewhere.
Have you been listening this whole time?
I sure have.
You don't think that that he's sort of sewing the threads of the greater tapestry that are going to be revealed later?
It's a lot of prep work.
But you don't like, it's not fair to say that it's only like had been 3 months. Like he had like a year to put together Hawks and Pox, but they've had like great.
There's been like 10 issues of X-Men out right now, and every issue is a weird standalone that kind of doesn't do anything. So yeah, I just don't know where he's going.
No, there's only been 7 issues, bro. Or wait, actually, there might have been more that you sent.
Yeah, you have a couple more in your pull box. So
okay, all right. Well, I've only read the 7 in the giant size. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I agree that they're all sort of like quasi one-shot-ish, but I do believe that they're all like adding to the greater puzzle.
Yeah, I'm giving Hickman the time. I'm letting him do what he wants to do, but it's.
I hear you. I
need something.
Charlie was not wrong. I mean, there is no story arc, and I can see how that would be abrasive to people, and those people does not include me, but I can see how it would include people. But yeah, I mean, he's told a great story over in the New Mutants. I mean, a perfectly fine story. I wouldn't say it was mind blowing, but yeah, it was good. But yeah, X-Men Till I Die. So go fuck yourselves.
Well, what a better place to wrap up I cannot think of. So, yeah, sorry. I wish I was feeling a little bit better, and nothing I love sparring more than Bryce. But, we're going to be doing this Discord recording for the foreseeable future.
Higgins. Higgins, this could be, I mean, maybe we talk about this offline. This could be the return of Bryce, which I'm sure would only infuriate. Wow. I mean, infuriate about, 80% of our listener base, but I'm available if we're remote.
If it's up to Trump, we're back in the store recording on Easter, so we'll see. I don't think
Bryce briefly quotes.
I don't think that's going to happen. But I was legitimately looking for a really good way to do more remote recording, and this works really well. So we're going to try to get this up. Actually, I'm going to put this up in the morning, so this won't be up. This will be up Thursday morning.
So we're going to make this a nightly thing.
But we can do more of these, and especially with the store closed, I want to try to in the next couple of weeks or months, God knows how long it's going to be, do more community stuff. I like to try to keep in contact with people. We were just trying to get everything set up for the shutdown. So now we just kind of go day by day and see what we do. So I'm gonna try to do some videos maybe from the store when I'm in there working, and we'll do some podcasts from time to time, some random stuff just to I don't know. There's not going to be any news for the next couple months, probably, other than crushing horror.
Yeah. Let me check my calendar. Oh, I'm totally free. I'm wide open. So
except for your wife's birthday.
Well, we have 364 days until we have to dodge that bullet. So
you got a couple kids coming too, so make sure you remember their birthdays.
What?
You got a couple kids in there too.
So. Kids' birthdays. Don't say that I got a couple of kids coming. My wife's going to hear you.
We are going to go and wrap up. Thank you, Bryce, Charlie, and Jim for being on. Jim, it's very late where you go to bed, man.
Oh, it's cool. I'm good.
Yeah, so all our Patreon guys, we haven't been plugging stuff. We've been so off schedule. I don't have any of my notes here. I'm all doing this from the house. So when I get into work on the next couple of days, I'm going to grab all of my notes, all my normal podcast stuff. We're going to want to talk about some other stuff going forward in the next few weeks. Plan is to record weekly still going forward. I don't see us stopping unless something weird happens. But we'll be around. And again, sorry for my lack of voice today, but I'm kind of going in and out of symptoms here with this little cold. So I figured what a better episode for me to lose my voice than the episode Bryce is on. So gives him some time where I can't argue with every episode he says. So
yeah, remember when you said this would be a quick one?
Yeah, well, I forgot Bryce was on it, so like he forgets his wife's birthday. I forgot I invited Bryce to this podcast. So.
a quick one, Charlie. That's what I tell my wife every time. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm happy to be on, and thanks for having me back. And yeah, if we can do more remote stuff, I'm available.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be all remote for the foreseeable future. So
all right, I'm in. I'm in too.
Yeah, John Hickman fan train. Here we go.
That social distancing. We can move the crew around every week and get new. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. Remember, please go to comicsconspiracy.biz. We can still ship anything from our store while we're going through the shutdown, and we hope to be open soon. Don't have an ETA, obviously, but we'll keep people updated. And again, those Comics Conspiracy gift certificates are available to buy. They're not something you can redeem on the website at checkout. So for all our mail order customers, that's something you'll just have to contact the store once we reopen. But hopefully that's not too unfortunate. You know, myself or Brock or some of the other people will be there. Maybe you'll get Marshall. You know, it happens. But please go there, pick up that store credit to help us through this time, and pick up anything on our site if you need it. Other than that, I think we are done. Unless anyone has any last minute things they want to.
I'm still my eBay
plug?
store is still open, so look up Skulls in Swords, and I'm still selling the T-shirts and prints and comic books and statues and all kinds of collectibles.
You broke up a little bit on my end, just in case they didn't hear that. Say that one. What's the site?
It's Skulls in Swords.
Skulls in Swords.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, go check out Jim's eBay store, and of course, Insanity and Chaos. That's Charlie. Wanderers Fourth Dimension podcast. You guys done? It's over. Is Charlie still?
Well, I mean, we're still going to do a monthly sort of recording just to keep the podcast active in the meantime. But
cool.
If you haven't been following, they've been doing some really interesting things with the current state of things with Doctor Who. Like Jodie Whittaker put out a little Doctor video today on Twitter.
I saw that. Yeah. I still haven't finished the season, but I see.
And the other interesting thing they've been doing is they've been doing some like live viewing, not live viewing. I'm trying to think of. Basically, they've done coordinated group viewings for like Day of the Doctor last week and Rose this week, where like Stephen Moffat was there during the Day of the Doctor, sort of live tweeting during it, and put out a little video before it, where he got Dan Starkey, who does the voice of Strax, to basically voice a Strax intro using like a Strax toy.
That's awesome. That's great.
And Russell T Davies is going to be doing the one for Rose that's going to be happening tomorrow, and is supposedly premiering a new scene that has never been seen before. So
nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week.